Thank you so much for joining me, Jody. I'm excited to have you on today. And me and you have talked offline, but I think you just have a great story. And I think everything you've been through and just your resilience, but also leaving a legacy for your daughter is just really commendable. So I'm excited for you to share your story today for us.
Well, thank you so much, Brandy, for having me. And I love how just God makes a way for people to be able to connect and get together. So I'm really
Mhm.
excited about this conversation. Like you said, we
Yeah.
have kind of connected before, but now I'm really excited to kind of do a deeper dive.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I think it would be good for listeners too to get a sense of who you are and just to be able to help them as well that may be facing something that's just traumatic in their life and they don't know how to move past it. So yeah, I think it'll be
Right.
great.
Right.
Well, I really want to start off first with for listeners that may be meeting you for the first time, if you'll just kind of describe like who you are and what are the things that matter most to you.
Wow. Okay. Well, we could be on here for hours because I feel like I'm kind of a melting pot of a lot of different people. But right now, in my stage of life, I recently retired and I'm really giving more focus to my speaking, my ministry. After doing 20 plus years of nonprofit fundraising, and then prior to that in
Wow.
retail. And also, of course, first and foremost, being a mom.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. No, you summed that out perfectly. That's awesome. Yeah, and before 2018, if you'll tell me a little bit about what did life look like day to day? What was going on during that time for y'all?
Well, so actually, if you don't mind, I think I'm going to back it all the way up just so your listeners can get a really good idea of who I am, because I just gave a little
Yeah.
snippet right there of what I'm currently doing, but who Jody Hudson is. So, I was born to a single mother who couldn't care for me, and I was placed into foster care. Then I was adopted by two parents, both who battled alcoholism. So I tell people I really spent most of my childhood trying to forget about my childhood.
Mhm.
And then fast forward to 2011, where after 20 years of marriage, and having two children, a son and a daughter, I found myself divorced, bankrupt, and also dealing with my daughter who was suffering from a medical mystery for almost 10 years.
Wow.
So today I can stand on solid ground and say, truly by the grace of God, I am here. But I just kind
Yeah.
of like people to know a little bit about my backstory because, you can't judge a book by a cover. And sometimes people think, oh, you've got it all. Look at you, wear nice clothes, you drive a nice car, you do
Yeah.
this, you do that, you're retired now, you can travel. Yes, I do have all those things, but you know what? I mean, I have been there in the trenches. I have been in the
Mhm.
pits. And
Yeah.
really, what I want to share today is how anybody, struggling with anything, you can move forward and you can have a great, great life as well as you are just, you know, having that strong foundation with God, because He truly is the one who pulled me and carried me through all of these challenges in life.
Love the point that you made about not judging a book by its cover because it's so true. Just looking at anybody, just looking at you, I would never imagine or think that you faced any of those things you just named. And on
Right.
top of that, having a child that's had a medical mystery for 10 years, like that is that is a long time to go with
It,
having something going on but not knowing what it is. So
right,
on top
right.
of that, having other life things go on, I mean, geez, you've really stood through the test of it all.
I have,
Wow.
and that's why I really am being intentional right now, since I've retired, like with my time, what it is I want to do. First and foremost is just being, around faith-based individuals, leaning in to help others, because trust me, I had God, but I also had a lot of human angels helping me and my children as well. So just being really intentional with my time, and just, letting people see that, you know, he still shines brightly through me, even though I've been through all that darkness. It still is
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah. And I definitely want to talk about Alex is her name, your daughter who had the medical mystery, and we're definitely going to get into that. But before that, me and you also talked a lot about your faith and how
Yes.
that faith shaped you and really helped you through those trying times. For anybody that's listening to this podcast right now, what advice would you give them, or anybody that honestly probably is listening at this point, like how did she do it? How, that's their question of how did she get through all of that with
Mm.
your faith? How would you say you got through all of that?
You know what? It was a roller coaster. I'm not gonna, lie to you. And I think that that is our faith walk. And I know that God understands that some days we are really gonna be diving in deep with His faith and just feeling
Yeah.
really good about it. And other days struggling. He gets that, right?
Yeah.
Um, but it, you know, growing up, I was baptized and raised Catholic. So I felt like my faith when I was growing up was very scheduled. Every
Mm.
Sunday we went to Mass. We participated in all of the, liturgy. We participated in all of the, religious holidays, the sacraments. But it really wasn't until Alex got sick that I really discovered more of my faith, deeper
Mm.
of my faith. And what I mean by that is, I love my Catholic faith and I love the sacraments, and I still every Sunday participate in that. But it really was Alex through her own struggles and her journey that found her faith in a non denominational church. And so, what we would do is we would every weekend double dip really into religion, I would say. We would go to a non denominational church where we were able to experience just a different way of religion. It was, definitely more song, worship, and then we would still go to the Catholic Church and receive our sacraments. And I feel like having that experience really opened up my eyes to, just different aspects of religion. Religion isn't
Mm.
defined by just the church that you go to. Religion is defined by how you practice it, how you
Yeah.
share it with others.
Yeah.
And so I think that really just opened up my eyes to my faith walk and what it looked like not only for me but others in my life, and what I was going through, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, it definitely does. Yeah. And you going to do two different churches of two different nationalities, like it sounds like you were looking for something too.
I mean,
Yeah.
when you are faced as a parent with a situation that you can't fix, I think it just eats away inside of you. As
Yeah.
parents, we fix our children's, bicycles when they're broken. We fix, their
Yeah.
scabbed knees when they get bloody. We fix their broken hearts when they, have a boyfriend or girlfriend. And,
Yeah.
we're always trying to fix things because we love them so much and we don't want them to have that pain, even though we know, and God even says we are going to suffer. I mean, that's just part of
Yeah.
life. But when you have a child who has this, illness that nobody can help you with, and you as a parent go to doctors and you can't fix it, you really struggle. And
Mm.
I was grasping on to whatever I could. And obviously, faith was the biggest thing for me to grasp onto. Like,
Yeah.
God, like, where are you in all of this? Like, you
Yeah.
are, reaching out to God and you want your prayers to be answered. And sometimes our prayers aren't answered. And sometimes He's not going to just, call you from heaven and say, "Oh, hey, Jody, this is God. And by the way, this is, what's
Yeah,
going
we
on,
wish.
blah, 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 blah." Right? Wouldn't that be so easy,
Yeah.
Brandy? But
So easy.
that is where your faith is cultivated. And that's when it
Mhm. It's
really
true.
stirs inside of your heart, to have that faith and to, continue to trust in him. I mean, so many times over and over again, I would just say, Jesus, I trust in you. So
Mm.
that's,
Yeah.
my faith developed in all of that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love this conversation we're having because for me, I was the child that had the blood disorders. And of course, not as long as Alex, but for us, it took us some months to figure out what was wrong with me because my blood disorders are so rare. So
Yeah.
now talking to a mom, of course, I've spoken to my mom about it, but now talking to a mother on the other side of it, I think this is such a crucial conversation of what you go through and me just hearing it from being the patient and being the child. And like you said, my mom and my dad want to fix the issue. They fix every problem for you. Like you said,
Right.
it's a very true statement and something that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. You understand it from a different perspective, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. And being strong for each other. I mean, I was trying to
Hmm.
shield Alex as your mom was trying to shield you and
Yeah.
help you and fix you. But
Yeah.
then it's beautiful to see how it came full circle and she was trying to help me and shield me and not get me so
Hmm.
worried and upset. And I'm sure you saw that in your mom as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Oh,
The
yeah.
circle of life. I mean, it's amazing
It
how that
is.
all goes around.
It is. Well, I definitely want to talk about Alex and how you all have honored her because I think that
Yeah.
is amazing. So
Yeah.
first I just want to give listeners an overview of like who Alex was. Like who was Alex to you?
So Alex, she was such a mixed bag. And when I say that, it's like a lot of times people thought she was very shy and very quiet in school. She was very studious. But then you get her out into like a soccer field or you get her on the pitcher's
Yeah.
mound and she was like this animal. People are like, oh my God, is that the same person that I just had a math class with? And she could be goofy and she could be silly. So she was a typical girl, just,
Yeah.
developing herself, developing, what she really enjoyed in life. She loved dogs. She always said she was going to be a veterinarian, but she would only
Oh.
help dogs. So if you had a cat, sorry, you're out of luck. So
I love dogs.
yes, she was a fierce dog lover. And she had her heart set on going away to school. She wanted to go to UCLA and be a Bruin. And in fact, she received a full ride scholarship to UCLA. And
Oh,
unfortunately, she
wow.
couldn't. She had to put it on the back burner because she really needed to get herself better because we were still in that 10-year struggle of trying to figure out what was going on with her. And she and I were both just so determined that we were going to figure this out. The right doctor
Yeah.
was going to help us and she'd be able to continue on with her studies. But obviously, God had other plans, and she passed in 2018. But she was a mixed bag, and she really didn't develop her faith strongly until that last year. And we can talk more at the end. But the book that I wrote, My Promise to Alex, is
Hmm.
part on her Lyme disease journey, but it's also part on her faith journey and how she really understood her role when she was so sick and she was suffering. She understood how she was able to use that suffering for the greater good. Like she was able to really take in some of the world's problems, some of her
Yeah.
friends' problems, and really just attach that to a greater cause. And people will say that really got to know her, especially at the end. Some of the people in our church and this prayer couple that came and prayed with her faithfully, that she was really not of this world. I mean, it was
Wow.
amazing just the books, the theology, the religion, everything that she was devouring and able to understand. And to
Wow.
make that clearer for your listeners, you know, she was in so much pain from this Lyme disease and everything that she had. And she had lost, like, she was normally 122 pounds. By the time she had passed. She was 57 pounds. So, I mean, this
Oh my gosh.
disease took over her entire body.
Yeah.
And most of us, me for sure, would be like, give me pain medication. Like, I want to make myself comfortable, right?
Yeah.
Alex, Alex didn't even take Tylenol. She was ever so present in her suffering and her pain, and
Wow.
attaching that to a greater cause that to this day it still just blows my mind. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow. And going through something like that for Alex, it probably, opened her eyes to what life is truly about. And that's
E-
kind of what it sounds like for her. Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so beautiful though. Yeah. She sounds like she's an amazing girl that was able to see more than just herself even in her own suffering.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
Wow.
And you had asked about Alex and asked about just like, her with the legacy and what we're doing today. And,
Mhm.
you know, when Alex got that full ride scholarship to UCLA, she really wanted to, she just knew that she was going to heal, right? Like she was going to be
Yeah.
able to figure out what was wrong with her. She was going to, heal herself. And then she was going to really pour into a nonprofit of whatever disease she had to help
Mm.
others. Well, the disease, we came to find out it was Lyme disease. And that's really what she wanted to do. But like I said, God had other plans. So
Yeah.
I made a promise to her that I would, start a Lyme disease nonprofit in her name. And so that's what I do, along with my
Wow.
speaking and doing podcasts, is I run the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation. So her legacy continues, and I know that she's doing the work with us. Not
Yeah.
here, obviously, but she's always with us in spirit.
Oh, yeah. Will you describe what is Lyme disease?
So, Lyme disease is a bacterial infection that you get when you've been bit by a tick. And most people, unfortunately, when they get bit by a tick, they don't realize that they've been bit by it. Only 35% of those that get bit by a tick get what's called a bullseye rash on that area where it has
Mhm.
been bit. So the majority of people just, you know, don't realize that they've been bit by a tick, and it sometimes doesn't present itself until much later on down the road. And then even then, it's first presents itself like flu-like symptoms or a bad
Mm.
cold, or you're just lethargic. And so these are things that are very common with other, diseases or other illnesses. So your
Yeah.
mind doesn't automatically think, oh gosh, it must be Lyme disease, right?
Yeah.
So most people go to their doctor, tell them what their symptoms are, and because it, masks so many other diseases or illnesses or chronic illnesses, doctors, it's not their fault, but they don't automatically think, oh, let's test you for Lyme disease. So in
Mhm.
Alex's case, this all started back when she was in fifth grade, that she was having joint pain, inflammation. It hadn't gone to her digestive system yet, but there was a lot of just the body aches. And so in fifth
Mhm.
grade, because she'd been playing sports for so many years, and also that's when a lot of people go through growth spurts, the doctors just thought it was growing pains, and they thought that she just, needed to cut back maybe on a little bit of her sports. Well, Alex was very competitive, and she didn't want to cut back on anything. So what she did was she would just tape her knees, tape her ankles, and still run track, still play softball,
Gosh.
still do all these things that she wanted to do, because she wasn't going to, let anything stop her. And it wasn't until much later, when she was a freshman in high school and she was playing basketball and she was dribbling down the court, and her knees actually like blew up like to the size of grapefruit, and she dropped to the ground, had to be carried off,
No.
went to a orthopedic doctor. They did knee surgery thinking it was, something structurally wrong with her knee. That didn't help. And then, of course, we had the long journey of trying to find what was actually wrong with her.
Yeah. So when within that, so after 10 years, is that when you guys figured out what was wrong with her?
Correct. So it was in 2017, and Alex graduated from high school in 2014. And like I said, she, received the scholarship to UCLA, but she was, you know, sick. She had been losing weight. I think she was maybe around 90 pounds at that time, 90, 95 pounds. And so she needed to get better. I mean, I, as a parent, could not, let her go away to school in that condition.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she did online classes. She went to a junior college for one or two classes in person. Meanwhile, she was still researching and trying to find out what was wrong with her and trying to find a doctor that could help us. And so it was really the 40th doctor that she found at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles
Gosh.
that she thought, you know what, Mom, I think this doctor might be able to help us. He thinks outside of the box. He's really good with, GI issues because Alex, really was starting to lose weight and having digestive problems as well. And she said, can we just go and try and see if we can get an appointment with him? And so we did. And we were in his office for no more than 5 minutes going over her charts and her medical history. And he asked me a question. And the question was, Mrs. Hudson, has anybody ever tested Alex for Lyme disease? And in 2017, I asked a really stupid question. I said, what's Lyme disease? Well, now
Mm.
fast forward, I could be a doctor of it.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
bet.
it just took the right doctor to sit down and
Mhm.
really have an understanding of what was going on with Alex. And so that's when we started treatment. And like I said, because she had been battling this for 10 years, and, as I said, Lyme disease, it's a bacterial infection. And left
Mhm.
treated in your body for that long, it impacted everything.
Gosh. So by the time you guys had found it, it was a little too late, I'm guessing.
It was a little too late, but again,
Yeah.
going back to that, you know, fix it as a parent, and
Yeah.
I'm sure that your parents would do the same thing. I thought, okay, great. We know it's Lyme disease. I don't know what Lyme disease is, but you know what? We're going to go to the best doctors. We're going to go to the
Yep.
best facilities. We're going to figure this out. And
Yes.
I was a single parent at that time, working in a nonprofit field, and didn't have a lot of money, but I sold her car. I mean, I did whatever I could to get her into the
Yeah.
best facilities because I thought, we're going to knock this out, right? She'll be better in a month's time
Mhm.
now that we know what it is. Well, unfortunately, like I said, we couldn't get a leg up on it. And the more facilities that we went to, the greater disappointment Alex had, I had. And then that's when everything just started turning, and she really attached herself to her faith and knew what God's purpose was going to be for her for the next couple of months.
She knew. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way she lived out those months sounds
Oh,
like it was beautiful.
it really was. And, you know, so many people, Brandy, ask me, like, Jody, like, how do you move on after the death of your child, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
you could go one way or the other. You could go to the darkness or you could go to the light. And
Yeah.
I knew when Alex passed, witnessing everything that she went through and how beautiful she was in accepting this suffering, I thought, how could I do anything but to create a legacy to honor her, not
Yeah.
wallow in my self pity, because that's not what Alex did. I mean, that would have
Yeah.
been terrible. That would have like erased all this, you know, stuff that she was doing on her own to prepare herself to
Yeah.
be, up in heaven with God, and then also to prepare me to carry on what she wanted me to do. And even her passing was so beautiful. And I read about this in
Oh,
the book. Like, I didn't know the day that she passed that she was going to pass, but even she orchestrated this for me. I had a friend call me. It was like noon, and Alex was in the back sleeping in the master bedroom. And I had a friend call me saying, "You know what, Jody?" She goes, "I just want to come over and pray with you. God is just tugging on my heart to do that." And I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." And she came over, and we went in the back room, and Alex was resting and, kind of off and on. And my friend walked out of the room, and a couple of minutes later she came back in, and I said, "Where did you go?" She goes, "Oh, I just went to call some other gals to come on over." So I think she might have sensed that Alex wasn't doing well, and she just wanted like a band of prayer warriors around her. And
yeah.
so these girlfriends came in. There was about five of us, and it was so beautiful. Like, we just all started, kind of saying stories about Alex and things that had really touched us about
Wow.
Alex. And when it came time for me to talk and to say something, I looked at her, and in that moment, God gave me this clarity, like, you need to let her go. Like, she's not going to
Mm.
go if she still knows that you
Yeah.
are hanging on to her. And
Yeah.
so I told her, I said, "Alex, I give you permission." I said, "You have done everything that God wanted you to do here on earth." And I said, "He's got a greater calling for you. So
Hmm.
I give you permission. You can go. You get to be with Buddy again, her dog, her golden retriever that she loved, that was already up in heaven waiting for her." And in that moment, when I said that to her, her head, which had been on the pillow, she lifted up her head, she opened up her eyes, and she looked up to the ceiling. And with this great big smile, she like gasped. And then she closed her eyes and laid her head back on the pillow, and she passed. And so
Wow.
right? And I tell people when they ask me, how can you move on from the death of your child? And it's because Alex gave me a parting gift. And that
She
was the
did.
parting gift.
She
She
did.
wanted me to know where she was going and that she was going to be okay. And I was
Yeah.
going to be okay as well.
Oh my gosh. What a beautiful story. I'm tearing up.
Oh,
That is such a beautiful story because not everybody gets to live that. No, but not everybody gets to see it that way and have that sense of peace of knowing where your child has gone. Wow.
and I do. I mean, my heart goes out to those individuals that don't have that closure,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
they
it is. It's
get,
closure. Yeah.
yes, and they don't get to be with their loved ones when that moment happens. So, I'm so grateful to God
Hmm.
that she was able to give me that parting gift. And that's how I was able to, move forward, start her foundation, write this
Yeah.
book, and speak to you even today.
It's like she's moving you in every area, even after she's gone on. She's still with you. She's still
Oh,
moving in every area that you're doing. That's what it sounds like.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's another story too about the bluebird, and I we can talk about that later. But yeah, she's always with me.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Before, to give people a sense of like what Lyme disease is, like what is it about Lyme disease that you wish people knew about it, you know?
So what I wish people would know is the biggest thing is prevention. So, Lyme disease, like I said, is caused by a tick bite. Tick bites are out in the woods. They're out in, even in your backyard. They can be carried by dogs, by, pets. So,
Mm-hmm.
really, the thing is prevention. Whenever you're outside, before you come back inside, you do a quick head to toe, making sure, that there aren't any little bugs or critters, on you. Just do a quick check. Same thing with your pets. Make sure that you do a quick, check
Mm.
on them. Um, and when you do go outside, make sure that just like there's mosquito repellent, there's repellent that you can, put on for, just to protect your body, making sure that your skin is covered up. So I think prevention is key. It's like anything, like cancer, like
Yeah.
skin cancer, cancer, any of that type of stuff. Prevention is
That's
key.
good to know. That's a good point. I like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
And
because I
also,
have a dog and I never think about it. My dog goes,
right.
in and out of the back door all the time. Yeah.
Oh yeah, so they can be carriers as well. And then we
Mhm.
have on our website just all these wonderful resources, educational things. I One of the things I'm most proud about is that we did a national Lyme curriculum program with the Girl Scouts. And
Oh, cool.
with that program, girls actually go through a Lyme curriculum, and anybody actually can do this Lyme curriculum. It's on our website, but you can learn about Lyme disease. You can learn the prevention, education, awareness,
That's nice.
treatment. And then once you finish that curriculum, you get a patch, and that patch is part Girl Scouts, but then it also has the Alex Hudson Lyme Foundation logo on it too. So,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh, I
pretty,
love that. Yeah, her legacy is definitely still being carried on even through that patch that girls
yeah,
get to wear. Oh, I love that.
yeah, yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about grief because going through something like that, grief is different for everybody and
hmm
everybody grieves differently. How would you say grief was for you? And how could you say it in a way that it helps somebody that may be grieving?
So grief is not a one size fits all for sure.
Mhm.
Grieves differently. For me, I knew that I did not want that to define me. I didn't want to be
Mhm.
defined as a grief girl, right? I didn't want that
Mhm.
pity. I wanted people to be able to still see God's goodness in me and to have that
Yeah.
shine through. So for me, it was just this whole mindset switching of, you know, how can I still show up even though I've just gone through one of the most horrific things any parent could go through in life, which is losing
Yeah.
a child. So I had to, and it didn't happen overnight, right? But I had to make that conscious effort to remind myself, who do I want to show up as? Who do I want
Mhm.
people to see me as? I want them first and foremost to see me as a Christian, as someone who loves God, as someone that, wants to be able to shine light and help others. I didn't want them to
Yeah.
see this darkness around me. So I made a very conscious effort about that. But I also wanted to show up for my son. I still had another child. Like I needed to
Mm.
be a role model for him and to show him
Yeah.
how he can get through life, when you have these horrific things that happen to you. Like, how can you process that? How can you keep moving through and accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish? So, for me, it was definitely a mindset. And it was, doing a lot of conversations and talks with God because you do go through those moments where you're angry, you're hurt. It's
Mhm.
all human, it's all
Yeah.
natural. But then also, I'm very project based. So for me, it's like putting that hurt and those emotions and that grief into something, make it an active, you know, being, so to speak. So it was starting her foundation. It was
Mhm.
starting to do a fundraiser, educating, letting people know about Lyme disease. I mean, she passed in March. By June, I already had a 501c3, which was like
Wow.
unheard of. That
Yeah.
was a godly moment for sure. By September, we were doing our first fundraising event, educating people on Lyme disease. And after a year of doing that, and also working at a nonprofit, God put it on my heart to write a book. And
Yeah.
I was, no, 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 no. Like, I'm a businesswoman. Like, I write reports. I don't write books. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, 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 you are going to do this. And so I did that within 4 months, self published it, and that itself,
Wow.
taken wings. So again, everyone's grief is different. How I just explained how I got through it. Some people might be listening and going,
Yeah.
Oh my God, like, are you crazy? There's like no way I could have done any of that. Um, but it's really something that's personal, and people just have to kind of, work it out on their own, with
Mhm.
God's help, and whatever
Mhm.
works best for you. And grief, grief is always there. You grieve hard because you loved hard, right?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
loved Alex so hard. So of
Yeah.
course I'm going to grieve hard. Um, and so you just find ways to to lessen that a little bit, but it's always going to be with you.
Mhm. Yeah. I love that. You grieve hard because you loved hard. Yeah. It's so
Yep.
true. I want to
Yep.
talk about Alex's foundation, and you've shared a little bit about what you guys have done with it, but if you kind of can give us overview with the fundraising, like what all do you all do there, and the education, of course.
Right. So our first step was, when we started this foundation, was to really raise funds for research, for grants, because back in 2017, 2018, there wasn't really that much being done. Now there's a lot more being done. But that was really our main focus, was to raise money to help with research. And I'm happy to say that right out of the gate, the first year, we were able to do a 50,000 research grant with
Oh,
another Lyme
wow.
organization out of New York called Global Lyme Alliance. I mean, it's amazing how God just like took this foundation
Mhm.
and ran with it. So, we've done that. Like I said, we've done the National Lyme curriculum with the Girl Scouts, which I'm very, very proud about. We also give grants to Lyme patients, because most of this Lyme treatment is not covered by insurance. In fact, when Alex was diagnosed in 2017 until she passed in 2018, I had said I did everything. I sold her car. I did whatever I could do to raise money. I spent
Mhm.
over $100,000, like my life savings. Um,
Gosh.
so this is something that we really try and do every year, is to give, you know, assistance grants to Lyme patients so they can pay for some of their Lyme treatment. And every May is Lyme Disease Awareness Month. So I usually, will start doing a lot of TV and radio interviews, print interviews, just getting the word out, reminding people, just like you and I talked about, the awareness, the prevention, the
Mhm.
tick check head to toe, just simple things that could really help prevent somebody from getting Lyme disease.
Yeah, no, you guys are doing some amazing work. Yeah. And it's so funny how something like what you guys have been through births something that can help so many people down the road, and all
Yeah.
the education. Like I would have never thought to do, preventable things like, of course, checking myself, but checking my dog. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. It just sets off that light bulb to make sure you're doing everything preventable for yourself. Yeah. So definitely think that, I bet it helps a lot of people out there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And just, my contact information is on the website. I get emails, I get calls, you know, weekly, monthly, from
Yeah.
people that, they're in the same position that I was when Alex was first diagnosed.
Mhm.
So scared. You don't know who to turn to. There aren't enough Lyme literate doctors that know how to treat this. And quite honestly, Lyme disease is such a complicated disease to treat. It's not like, associated like with cancer, where with cancer, you do the chemo, you do the
Yeah.
radiation, like, step, step, step. With Lyme disease, because people can develop different symptoms from it, it's almost like a buffet. Oh, would you like to choose this for treatment? Would you like to try this for treatment?
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
there's so many different, ways to treat it, and everybody is going to react differently. So it's just a very, very complex
Mhm.
disease in itself.
Yeah, I'm so shocked it's not covered by insurance.
A lot of times it's not, it will be like the antibiotics. Like if you know that you've been bit by a tick and you go to the doctor and they put you on
Uh-huh.
30 days of antibiotics, they will cover that. But for anything that really goes into longer term or chronic, which people will associate with this, like post COVID, right?
Yeah.
How many people have like chronic disease now from COVID? Well, that's
Yeah.
exactly how Lyme disease is. And a lot of
Mm,
that does not get covered by insurance because once it falls in
mm.
the chronic category, a lot of times insurance won't recognize that.
Wow. Through this journey, also, you guys have met over 40 doctors, which is a lot, and I had this experience, or me and my family did. When you're meeting so many different doctors, you learn how to advocate for yourself in
Uh,
those doctors' rooms. And for us, we were so shocked of like it was just something that naturally happened, but how other people really don't know how to advocate for themselves, no matter what it is that you're going to the doctor for.
yep.
Um, can you speak to that also? I bet you speak on that also.
Oh, I do. In fact, when
Yeah.
I speak at medical conferences, I'm always talking about that, to the
Yeah.
doc, like really listen to your patients, right?
Hmm.
Alex was, gaslighted so much in the beginning, thinking it was all in her head. They
Yeah.
saw, this young, pretty girl that was
Yeah.
losing weight, and they thought, oh, she has an eating disorder. It was
Gosh.
just, it was horrible. And I write in the book where actually we had gone to a hospital for her to, get some nutrition, and they put her in a psych lockdown for 2 hours and did a
No
whole,
way.
yeah, it was horrible, how she was treated. Because when people don't understand, even when the medical community doesn't understand something, they
Mhm.
automatically think, oh, it's in their head, it's a psychological problem. So, I always tell people, number one, make sure that you have a good support system, that you have people around you that believe in
Mhm.
what you are trying to convey to others. In fact, the first one of our first fundraisers, we had T-shirts with "Believe" on it because
Oh,
that was just like the biggest thing. So many people didn't believe that Alex had Lyme disease. So it's like with any disease, you need to believe that what this person is telling you is true.
mhm.
Um, and also, we had a key word too, like when we were going to these different doctors, so many people will pronounce Lyme disease as limes with an S.
Mm.
So that was like nails on the chalkboard. Like if a doctor said limes, Alex and I would kind of look at each other like, okay, we're out of here, because if they don't
Yep.
even pronounce it correctly, they're not going to know
Yeah.
how to help us.
Yep.
So you
It's
have like little cues in place, and I'm sure you and your mom probably had some of those cues as well.
Oh yeah, yeah. The amount of doctors, I didn't see 40, but I saw enough where I was frustrated and
Yeah.
like, why can't anybody figure out what's wrong with me? And the unknown is the scariest. So to think of going through that for 10 years and just fighting for your own health, very commendable for sure for 10 years. Yeah.
Well, think
Yeah.
about it as a parent, or not even as a parent, but any of us. When you get sick, where do you go? You go to the doctors or you go to the hospitals.
Yeah.
We got to the point where we couldn't even do that because look, they put her in a psych lockdown. They didn't believe that she had Lyme disease, even though we had all of these tests showing that she did. I mean, we had nowhere to turn to. I mean, think of how awful,
Yeah.
awful that
It's
made us
scary.
feel. And, we just kept turning back to God and just saying, please, help us through this, because we just so many times, had doors shut in our face and we just didn't know where to go, what to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a hard time.
Yeah, I love that you guys are able to speak at these medical conference, or you're able to speak at these medical conferences too about it.
Yeah.
Just because it's great to have that education of helping doctors to see more. Because, like you said, you should be running towards the doctors and not away when it's
Yes.
something that bad. Yeah.
Yes. It was, well, actually 3 years ago, I spoke at a Central California Women's Conference. There must have been like over 5,000 people there. Dr. Jen Ashton from Good Morning America was the keynote
Yeah.
speaker. So I was able to speak there. But then like a month or two after that, I spoke at a medical conference, and the person who organized that conference, she wanted everyone there, all the doctors, there's probably about, I don't know, 400 or 500 of them, to have a
Whoa.
copy of My Promise to Alex, so they could
Oh,
read my daughter's story and think about it next time when they had somebody in their office and they didn't know what was wrong with them, how to help, their patients, and to help them find that voice, and to, let them know that they believed in them, even though they didn't know what their disease was, but they believed in their symptoms. So that was pretty powerful. That was pretty powerful.
I love that. Yeah. It's definitely an important conversation that's needed. So I love that you're able to be a part of that. I do want to turn towards your book and talk about that as well, because, and I think anybody listening may want to read it and see where they can find it. If you can tell us a little bit about your book and why you wrote it.
So yeah, so as I said, God really just put it on my heart to write this book. I realized in that year from 2017 to 2018 that I was so busy trying to help Alex that I really didn't have time to bring along my inner circle and stop and say, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what's going on, this is the next treatment. I mean, like I said, Lyme disease in itself is so complicated. They were
Hmm.
always there for me, my circle of friends, and always making little goodie bags and travel bags for us wherever we went. But I just felt like I needed to let people know what we experienced in
Hmm.
that whole year and just everything leading up to it. So, the book is 50% on Lyme disease, and I go into like all the different facilities that we went to, treatments. And then it's also 50% on her faith journey. Because as I said earlier in the podcast, especially just those last couple of months, seeing how Alex, just her spiritual maturity, drew me closer to my faith, and everybody that came in touch with her. I
Mm.
wanted people to recognize like what the saint that she was. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
beyond belief. So I sat down, wrote this book within 4 months, and I was able to self-publish it. It's been on Amazon for a couple of years now. Um, I have, I think, well over 175, maybe 5-star reviews. It's
Wow.
gone international. I mean, someone in Japan bought a copy, Australia. It's amazing. It's amazing. The
Wow.
book is just like taken off on angel wings. And it's also a love story between a mother and a daughter.
Hmm.
So, even though it's obviously a sad ending, with Alex passing, I think it's just so rich in just the relationship, and writing about just Alex and I, how we are just one. I mean, for a while, that's all we had was just each other. I mean, my son was still in the picture, but he was away at school. But,
Yeah.
especially those last couple years, when I was a single parent and Alex's dad wasn't really in her life, it was just her and I. So it
Wow.
speaks to that strength that we drew from each other. And
Hmm.
like I said earlier, and you even commented on it, I mean, I still draw on it today. I mean, we're still doing things together.
Yeah. You can
Yeah.
tell it still seems like it's together.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not like this, but I just feel like she's here. Like I feel like she's in this conversation. Like there's just something here. Like I keep tearing up every time you talk about her, and I get a really good sense of who she was as a human. And like you said, it just sounds like she was not meant to be here. Like she was, her mind was far belong long where
Oh my
we, what
gosh.
we think. Yeah.
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 And that's why, I have these conversations with God, and, I tell him I'm so blessed, truly
Yeah.
blessed that I had her for 22 years. I mean, there's some people that never can have children and never have that relationship. But what
True.
and I had was just so beautiful and so special. And, just even in that parting gift, how she wanted to protect my heart as much as
Mm,
I wanted to protect her heart when she passed,
yeah.
and gave her that permission to go. And so really quickly, I know we're running out of time, but I want to tell you about this bluebird story because when
No,
you
that was my
talk
next
about
question. No, that's perfect. I want you
when
to tell the bluebird story.
yes. So, when you say that you feel like Alex is here, like every time I do interviews, I always like look out the window before I do an interview and there's always a bluebird. And of course there was one today before I jumped on with this interview. But um I was struggling. It was in December of 2017 before she passed in 2018. And I was really struggling one day. And so Alex was in the back bedroom, and I told her I was going to go for a quick drive and I would be right back. And it was during that drive that I pulled over and I literally had this awful conversation with God. I was banging on the dashboard. I was just like giving it to him, right? I
Yeah.
said, I can't handle this anymore. Like, I was giving him an ultimatum. You either heal Alex or fix her, because this purgatory that we are going through and we've been going through, it's not working
Yeah.
out for each one of us. Like, I can't do this anymore. And so then I
Mhm.
composed myself and got back, in the car and went home. And I went back to check in on Alex, and she was resting, and so I went back out in the living room. And I'm sure your mom does this whenever she gets like really upset or anxious, whatever, she cleans, right? Is your mom like that?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
took out my little, duster, and I was dusting away, and I looked outside the window into our courtyard where there was a fountain, and on that fountain was a bluebird, and I'd never seen that bluebird before. And so I went back into the bedroom, and Alex was awake by now. And I said, Alex, I go, did you see that bluebird that's out there? And she's like, yeah, like just real matter of fact, like, yeah. And I go, I've never seen it before. Have you? She goes, yeah, Mom. She goes, it's been coming the past month, and it comes every day at 3 o'clock. And yeah, at 3 o'clock. And I said, so what do you make of that? She goes, well, I really feel like it's a sign from God, and He's telling me that I'm not alone and that I still have another day here on earth. And I was just like so taken back by that. And I was speechless. And so I just gave her a kiss, and I walked back out into the living room, and I sat down and I just started sobbing. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, God, like here I thought you had abandoned us, like you had forgotten us, like this
Yeah.
purgatory screaming about. Like, how could you do this to us? But yet you've been appearing every day for Alex and for me, but I just
Wow.
never paid attention, right? It was the
Yeah.
same fountain, same bird. She saw it and I didn't. So I think it's just a sign for us when we're going through these really awful times in our life to look around, because God is always there and the beauty is always around us. Sometimes we just can't see it. And so this bluebird, when Alex was passing, like, maybe a couple days before she passed on that Saturday that I told you about with the parting gift, I looked at her and I said, Alex, I go, I know there's going to come a time, I don't know when it is, but I know there's going to come a time where you're going to leave me. And I said selfishly, like, I need something to know that you're okay.
Mhm.
Like, you haven't forgotten about me and God hasn't forgotten about me. I go, what should we use? Like, what should we have, a code word? Should we have a sign? And oh my God, there's a bluebird right here that just flew
No
over.
way.
And she goes, Mom, she goes, it'll be the bluebird. She goes, whenever you need me, she goes, just look for the bluebird. And I swear to God, I see them, like I said, just right now, even. She just will pop in every so often just to remind me she's still around.
She's still here.
Yep.
Oh
And
my
so is
gosh.
God. Yep.
Yeah. Wow, that is a beautiful story to end on, too. For anybody out there that may be feeling a deep loss, heartbreak, going through something, what would you want them to know?
Oh my gosh. I just want them to know they are so loved. They are so
Yeah.
loved. They are not alone. And I tell people this all the time. If they feel like they don't have anybody in their life, and if they just don't know how to have that relationship with God, they can always email me. I will be their little
Yeah.
prayer partner, their prayer warrior. but just you're not alone, and people want to help you, and so you can't cheat them of that blessing, right? Like
I
let
love
them
that.
help you. Even if
Mhm.
you've got 50 million casseroles in your refrigerator, or if you've got all these grief books, sometimes people just don't know what to do, but let them do something because it makes
Yeah.
them feel good too.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That is such a good ending. Thank you so much, Jody. I teared up. I think I kept like
Huh?
halfway crying and trying to keep it together just because the story is so beautiful. And I know it's a loss for you, but it's just such a beautiful story of something that you have been through and how you've gotten through it on top of everything else. I want to make sure everybody knows that your book, I'm going to put your email address if you don't mind
Yeah.
in the show notes,
Yeah.
so people will know where to contact you and Alex's foundation as well, so
Yes.
they can look all of that as well.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for having me. And again, anybody that's listening, if you're just feeling lost, don't know where to, you know, go, just you need help. I'm always here to help. Really, I feel that's my calling. So
Yeah.
they're more than happy to reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jody. This was
You're welcome.
amazing.
Thank you.